Hi, Gabriel here from the NYC Guitar School, and I'm here today to show you 3 licks that use legato and hybrid picking techniques. These 3 licks are going to help tie together some of the techniques we've covered in previous videos where we've isolated hybrid picking and we've isolated legato. Now, I like to put the two together because you can use hybrid picking as a way of pushing your legato playing forwards and not getting caught up with the picking hand, which sometimes I find does happen. So let's think about our first lick here. This first lick is based around a D flat major scale, and we're going to be on the 2nd and 1st string. So we're looking at this 3-note per string scale shape, which sounds like this. That's a really powerful shape and super useful to check out because it's going to allow you to play in a way that it's not just locked in a box as you're moving diagonally across the fretboard, and it also is really intuitive to build speed using 3-note per string scale shapes. So I definitely recommend checking out that topic. However, today we're just going to be focusing on this one shape. This first lick is based on the 2nd and 1st string. We're isolating this segment, these here 6 notes. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using legato on the 2nd string. So I'm going to pick the note on the 11th fret, and then I'm going to hammer on to the note on the 13th fret. So I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to hammer on to the note on the 14th fret. So those 3 together gives us... Okay, now we move over to the 1st string for the 11th fret. Now at this point, we're just going to turn around and go back down. And you can pick those notes like that. And that sounds great. However, I want to look at this as a tool to develop our legato and hybrid picking. So why do I use hybrid picking in this instance? I like to use hybrid picking as a turning point. It allows me to turn around and come back the other way without having to jump over a string and move backwards with my pick, which is something that you would have to do if you only use your pick, because let's think about how we would pick that. If I was moving up and using legato and picking, I would go pick, hammer, hammer, pick, and then at that point my pick, if I'm using a downstroke, is away from the string. I guess I could use an upstroke, but in order to get that I would have to jump over the 1st string and come back. So I like to use my 2nd finger to hybrid pick, as that allows me to turn around without having to move my pick, because then all I'm having to do is I go downstroke on the 2nd string, hybrid pick that 11th fret and 1st, and my pick's already in between those 2 strings. It's ready to go, it's primed for that to return the other way. And when I get to the bottom, I don't need to pick again because there's already energy on the string, so we can just keep going back up with some legato. So I can go hammer, hybrid, pick, pull off, hammer, hammer, hybrid, pick, pull off, hammer. And that's a really nice way to play that fragment, and it'll allow you to build speed. Okay, so let's check out the next lick, lick number 2. Lick number 2 is based on the same scale shape, except we're going to be using more of the scale this time. So we're going to be starting on the 4th string on the 10th fret. Now that is the segment of the scale we're using now. We are going to finish this lick by sliding up to the next position, so our exit point is going to be on the 16th fret of the first string. So let's have a look at how we play this. So first of all, starting on that 10th fret, the 4th string, and with our first finger, we're going to pick this note. We're going to hammer onto the 11th fret. We're going to hammer onto the 13th fret. Now, on the 3rd string, we have what I like to think of as like a turnaround legato lick, where I'm going to pick the first note, and in our 3-note pair, rather than going to the 2nd note, I'm going to jump over to the 3rd note in the pair. So I'm going 10 to 13. So 10, 13, and then I'm going to then play the 3-note following that. So I'm going to go 10, 13, 10, 11, 13. So those two so far we have. That sounds really cool. So we have pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, pull off, hammer, hammer. Okay, now we have 2 more strings, and it's the same progression, just from different degrees in the scale. So starting on the 11th fret, we're going to play up through the scale. So pick on the 11th fret, the 2nd string, hammer onto the 13, hammer onto the 14. Now you can use, depending on what you would do, sometimes it'd be useful to practice using hybrid picking for the final string. But we can use it as a downstroke here because we're heading up, we're not going to be turning around. So remember, I use hybrid picking to turn around and come back the other way. This instance, we're just continuing up, so we don't have to do that. So I'm on the 1st string, I'm going to pick 11th fret, I'm going to hammer onto the 14th, pull off to the 11th, hammer onto the 13, hammer onto the 14. Now we have an exit note here, so what we're going to do is we're going to slide into the next position of the scale by sliding up 2 frets to the 16th fret. So that last segment sounds like this. If we put those 2 parts together, part A on the 4th and 3rd and part B on the 2nd and 1st, we have this. Or fast. Okay, so that's 2 really useful licks that you can use to build speed, and they're based on the major scale, so they're super useful for playing to different chords or chord progressions. We have one last lick. Okay, so let's check out the 3rd lick now. It's based on the F minor pentatonic scale, except it uses a slightly different finger pattern to one that you may already be used to. So when we think about the E minor pentatonic scale, we typically look at 2 note per string scales. So our F minor pentatonic would be, or up the octave on the 13th fret. Now that's a really useful scale position and definitely one that you should spend some time with and get comfortable. However, it isn't very conducive to playing using legato techniques, purely because you're just playing 2 notes per string and you're really stuck in one position. So there's not really much area that we can cover with it. So what we can do is we can reimagine that scale shape in a slightly different way. So what we're going to do is we're going to be taking the scale and we're going to go 3 notes on one string, 2 notes on the next string, 3 notes on the one string, 2, 3, 2. Okay, so let's look at that scale shape. We're going to start on the 4th fret of the 6th string, and it's very similar to the major scale shape that we used earlier. So we're going to go 4, 6, and 8. Notice that we're starting on the 3rd of the F minor chord. 4th fret of the 6th string. So we go 4, 6, 8. Now for the next string, I'm going to jump up with my first finger to the 6th fret of the 5th string. So I've gone 4, 6, 8 on the 6th, 6, sorry, on the 5th string, to 8, and I'm using my 1st and 3rd finger. Now we're going to go to the 4th string, and we're going to go 6, 8, 10. Now onto the 3rd string, I'm going to use my 1st finger again, jump up to that 8th fret, 3rd finger for the 10. Now we have to compensate for the tuning of the guitar, so we have to jump up 1 more fret, so we're going to go 1st finger to the 9th fret now. Same shape, 9, 11, 13. And finally we're going to finish with 2 notes on 1st string, using our 1st finger jumping up to the 11th fret, 3rd finger on the 13th fret. Now there's also one other thing that you'll notice about this lick, is that we have 3 notes on the 1st string. So rather than using your 3rd finger for that 13th fret, you can use your 2nd finger. You can go 11, 13, and now this is quite a big stretch, but it's more manageable on this part of the fretboard. You can use your 4th finger to grab the note on the 16th fret of that 1st string. And that's a really cool sound because it sounds almost like a keyboard or like a pianist playing, just because the interval's so wide. Okay, so let's look at how we would play this lick. We're not using all of the strings, as that's quite a lot of notes. So we're starting on the 4th string. I'm going to start with that phrase. I'm going to use legato to play it up. So I'm using my pick, and I'm going to pick that note. I'm going to hammer. So I'm picking the note on the 6th fret of the 4th string. I'm going to hammer onto the 8th fret. Then I'll hammer onto the 10th fret. Okay, now we're at the next part of the scale. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move up with my 1st finger, and I'm going to pick that note. So we've gone starting on the 4th string, 6th fret, pick, hammer, hammer, 8th fret of the 3rd string, pick, hammer onto the 10th fret. Okay, now you could pick it, but we're going to be turning around and going back the other way. So I like to use a hybrid pick for this. So I'm going to go pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hybrid, using my 2nd finger on my picking hand, on the 9th fret of that 2nd string. So, full thing, 6, 8, 10, 8, 10, 9. Okay, now on this string, we're going to hammer onto the 11, onto the 13, and then we're going to go back the other way. So we're going to pull off back to the 11th fret. So, the full phrase so far. Okay. Now the reason I used the hybrid pick is because at this point we're going to pick using an upstroke on the 10th fret of that 3rd string. And pull off to the 8th fret. Okay, so we have. Okay, now for the final section of the scale, I'm going to use a hammer on to go from the 8th fret to the 10. I'm going to use my pick to pick the 9th fret of the 2nd string. I'm going to hammer up that shape again, so 9, 11, 13. And here is the final exit phrase. I'm going to pick on the 11th fret of the 1st string, hammer onto the 13th fret with my 2nd finger. Now this is a tricky bit. We're going to stretch up and hammer on using your 4th finger onto that 16th fret. So the full phrase is this. Or faster. So I hope these 3 licks have been useful for you to practice using legato and hybrid picking. I really enjoy practicing in this way because it puts it in a more musical context rather than just doing purely technical exercises. Have fun trying these out. See if you can apply them to some music that you like, be it improvising a solo. You can just throw these in as a lick and it'll sound really cool. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I want to give you a huge thanks from myself, Gabriel, and the New York City Guitar School. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below and we'll get straight back to you. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, hit that bell icon, and subscribe to the channel to get notifications about any new videos that we'll be doing. I've done a few videos in this series so far. We've looked at hybrid picking and we looked at legato. Now we've put those two together. We're going to be looking at some other picking techniques in the future and seeing how we can tie it all together to create a comprehensive lead playing palette of technique. Again, thank you so much for checking this out, and see you next time.